Hey all, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Monday. You know that it's countdown day. And of course, as voted on by fans all across social media, our topic this time is very simple. The top 10 Transformers doctors/medics. That's our focus in the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby! Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through spring. Or, of course, you can hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member right here on YouTube. And I wanted to do this topic for a while, but I was very concerned that it was going to end up just being a list of 10 Ratchets, right? So before we kind of move into the main list itself, let me give you a little bit of a caveat. I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion that Ratchet, in general sense, will be number one. I don't think any of us are surprised by that. So the real question will be 2 through 10. However, even when we get to number 1, I will discuss a little bit in depth there which versions of Ratchet got votes, and I will rank those in the order of which they got votes. I have news for you. At the very tippy top, we actually have a tie, if you can believe that. But that's the caveat. So without any further ado, I want to jump with our honorable mentions before we get things started. So, that being said, our honorable mentions include 2 this time. One of those is CAT Scan. The other is, and I like this, Rescue Bots Medics. I wonder if the new medics we have up and coming that's using the crankcase mode is supposed to be based on the Rescue Bots version of the character. Probably. Probably. Those 2 honorable mentions had the exact same number of votes. That's why they are the honorable mentions. They did not make the final list, so you know what we're going to do. We're going to kick things off with number 10. First. Now, kicking things off at number 10 is a character that I'm not really familiar with, but the fans and the voters are, and it's this medic. That's right, it's Nickel, who I suppose is a part of the DJD, the Decepticon Justice Division. Those who voted for her noted how she has repaired Overlord, how she has repaired Death Source, but most notably, how she has repaired the members of the DJD aboard the Peaceful Tyranny, and is really quite hard on them when they don't, check in for regularly scheduled maintenance and don't take care of themselves. And if you have a nagging injury, make sure you get it fixed, right? She's also a master of rude hand gestures. She is not intimidated or afraid of the DJD. Why? Because she herself has a gruff exterior, even if she has a spark of gold. After all, how many times has she had to replace Tarn's T-Cog? She keeps that tyrant going. Nickel, based on fan votes, took the number 10 slot. Now, number 9 is a wildly unexpected character, if you ask me, and it's technically the Quintessons, but more specifically, Clementia at number 9. And you might say, who is Clementia? While the Quintessons were given some votes, Clementia specifically was given the nod because this is the Quintesson judge who actually ended up repairing Optimus Prime in the Return of Optimus Prime, and therefore led to the end of the Hate Plague. Without a Quintesson, the Hate Plague probably would have ravaged the entire universe. And this Quintesson was the ultimate in terms of being a doctor, in terms of being a medic, by rebuilding and reactivating and bringing back to life Optimus Prime himself. How can you argue with it? Clementia, unexpected as he is, took the number 9 slot. Now, ironically, number 8 is also tied to Optimus Prime because it's Alpha Trion. I never would have thought of Alpha Trion as a medic or a doctor. However, we all know that it was Alpha Trion who rebuilt basically Orion Pax into Optimus Prime and Ariel into Elita 1. I mean, when you have the ability to save a spark, to, give Transformers new bodies, and to make one of them the most heroic Autobot leader of them all, from, really, who is kind of a weenie. Let's be realistic. I mean, Orion Pax, he was what he was, right? Alpha Trion, yeah, maybe one of the ultimate Transformer surgeons. Who knew? But he took the number 8 slot. Number 7 gives us a little bit of a foray into Beast Wars with Rhinox. Unexpectedly, Rhinox I'll say, though to be fair, I did think about Rhinox, but I didn't include him because I wanted to see what the voters would do. Rhinox is kind of a scientist, he's kind of an engineer, he's kind of a medic, he's able to do certain repairs, he's certainly adept to using tools, surgical and otherwise. He can do an awful lot of things. Yes, the Decepticons, for example, have those like energizing pools or whatever. Yes, there are, I can't remember what those chambers are called, regeneration chambers. But sometimes you just need, you just need a band-aid. You just need a broken bone reset, or you need just some small, minor, really repair done. And when you need those things done quickly, efficiently, easily, why not turn to Rhinox? Rhinox, he took the number 7 slot. Coming in at number 6, we have a character that I honestly have never heard of until right now, but man, what an intriguing character it is, and it's this guy. Yeah, it's Flatline. Now, what's intriguing is that when I went looking for Flatline, of course, most voters said IDW Flatline, who is a medic who takes his medical oaths very, very seriously. He will treat anyone, Autobot, Decepticon, or otherwise, any bot that's in need of help, anybody that's in need of help, because he's a doctor. But if we go, for example, to Revenge of the Fallen, apparently he is a master surgeon in there who's been tasked by Thundercracker at making like the next army, and he's like failed with a lot of protoforms, so he's kind of a mad scientist as well. I actually, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because we all know that I'm not an IDW fan, but I actually like that his Hippocratic Oath in IDW is the thing that motivates him more than being an Autobot or a Decepticon or any other faction, even though he's a Decepticon. He identifies first and foremost with helping. He identifies first and foremost with being a medic or a doctor. He fits in perfectly. Now that I know the character, he was bound to be on this list. Flatline took the number 6 slot. And here we are, once again at the ever-popular of locations, the most coveted of locations, the halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we have a Transformer who really is a medic to humans, by way of Minerva. Yeah, so Minerva by rights is a human, or certainly starts out as a human. She is somewhat young, somewhat idealistic, and somewhat privileged. She learns the harsh realities of war rather quickly, and is quite uncomfortable doing battle, very uncomfortable with humans, specifically children, being pulled into the conflict. And she kind of ends up getting to a point where she is a field medic, a battlefield medic, specifically tending to humans and trying to get them out of the line of fire and tend to their injuries. But, I mean, she would certainly help bots if she could. She tries to avoid battle, even though this version of Minerva comes with 2 blasters. But she basically tries to avoid battle at all costs. She's a pacifist. She's a helper. She's a healer, not a warrior. And you know what? Everybody has a role to play. Everybody has value. And hers is going to be in a helping role as a battlefield medic. Yeah, whether you're helping humans, whether you're helping bots, or whether you're helping anyone in need. Minerva, she's looking out for you, and she takes the number 5 slot. And here we are at number 4. Number 4 is a bit of an interesting one, because technically it's Wreck-Gar. And yes, this is the Power of the Primes Wreck-Gar, but more generally, it's the Junkions. Everybody that voted for the Junkions and Wreck-Gar gave the exact same reasons. And I'm using the Power of the Primes one because while it's officially Wreck-Gar, I just use it as a generic Junkion, to be honest with you. And I think that it kind of fits here because technically I guess 4 is Wreck-Gar slash Junkions. The justifications that people gave made complete sense. One, they can repair and rebuild themselves by using junk parts. They can just basically always make sure that they have a body. And then they all said the same thing as well. Look no further than Ultra Magnus. The guy was disassembled, he was destroyed, and the Junkions rebuilt him with surgical precision and brought him right back as if nothing had ever happened. Makes you wonder why they didn't take Optimus Prime to the Junkions, or what would have happened if the Junkions were around when Optimus and Megatron had that battle. A life of wouldas, couldas, shouldas. But I get it, and I get the justification. Yeah, the Junkions, and Wreck-Gar, I suppose, take the number 4 slot. And top 3 might somewhat be a bit of a foregone conclusion, but the order might not be a foregone conclusion. So at number 3, we go back to the Decepticons and Transformers Prime with Knockout. Yeah, I mean, the medic known as Knockout. He spends a lot of time being a scientist and assisting Shockwave. By the way, I mean, some people did vote for Shockwave as well. But in essence, this guy's really good at having a cache of parts. I get it. He's called a medic, but in essence, he's the Decepticons parts department, right? Like, you need a new arm, he'll give you a new arm. You need some new servos, he got those in stock. You know, need a new blaster, he probably has that. You need a new leg, a new knee joint, a new T-cog. This is the guy to go to. Probably the first, I can't necessarily say the first Decepticon medic, but how can I put this? If he's not the first Decepticon medic, he's probably the most prolific Decepticon medic. In fact, my whole desire to have a Knockout in my collection was because I said the Decepticons need someone to repair them when they're damaged. And this was the first guy that came to my mind. And guess what? He was the first guy that came to the mind of a lot of fans. And that's why he got the votes. And that's why Knockout took the number 3 slot. Coming in at number 2, we have the Doctor to the Stars. Or, well, at least the Doctor to the Titans by way of First Aid. Yeah, the Protectobot First Aid. The ultimate pacifist. I don't know if he ever actually fought. Maybe he did, but I specifically can recall that his personality was one of, I'm not going to fight, I'm not a fighter, I'm a doctor, I'm a healer. And we all know that he specifically has the ability to be a doctor to Metroplex. Probably Fort Max as well, but certainly Metroplex. He's a doctor and a healer through and through. He's not a medic. He's a doctor. He's possibly a surgeon. And he takes on the most difficult of cases because he knows that helping is an important role too, even if he's not into combat. First Aid took the number 2 slot. And number 1 is probably no surprise. In fact, the difference between number 2, First Aid, and number 1 was a total of about 150 votes in the difference. But those votes were, admittedly, amassed from multiple versions of Ratchet. Now, of all the versions of Ratchet that we've ever had, and we've had them in the movie, and we've had them in RID 2015, and we've had them in the comics, and we've had them everything. There were 3 main versions that got the most votes. The IDW version got a few votes. The movie version got none, but the 3 that got the main votes, well, at number 3, we'll call this 1C, would be Animated Ratchet, the, grumpy curmudgeon. A lot of people said Animated Ratchet is like if Cup was a doctor, right? And I get it, I absolutely get it. As that series evolved and went on, while he was kind of a curmudgeon, you got to love Ratchet, and you got to see him grow and evolve, and you realize he really does care about the others, and that's why he helps. He's a helper, and he's still a healer. Perhaps Animated Ratchet has the best character development. But then we have one, I'll call it B, which is, and 1A, because the other 2 are a tie between Transformers Prime and G1 Ratchet. So the very tippy top is a tie. The exact same number of votes for G1 Ratchet and Transformers Prime Ratchet came in at 72 votes apiece. I mean, yeah, I get it. I do. I understand. I think it was 72 votes apiece. I totally understand. Transformers Prime Ratchet, I mean, bulkhead I need that the guy was able to, I think he made the space bridge, if I'm not mistaken. He was always a doctor at heart. I mean, he had great character development as well, feeling so guilty about not being able to repair B's voice box. And then you have G1 Ratchet. Why did he get the votes? He was the first. He was the first Transformers doctor. Maybe not the one that had the best character development, but he was the first in a lineage of Ratchets, in a lineage of medicine, in a lineage of healing. Ratchet, in any and all of his forms, took the #1 slot. And there you go. We've gone from 10 down to 1 once again. Others that had votes on here, Pharma. I think that'd be a cool one to actually get in plastic. Red Alert, the Unicron Trilogy Red Alert, specifically. Fix It. Both G1 Fix It and RID 2015 Fix It both had votes. Perceptor had a couple of votes. This was dark. One of the voters said, well, I mean, it was Perceptor that signed Optimus's death certificate, right? That's dark. That's dark. The Paradron Medic, Lifeline had some votes. Hoist had some votes. The one person said that Moist was more of just a disappointing actor than he was a medic. Shockwave had some votes. I mentioned that earlier. Sparkplug had some votes. That was a great one. Siren from the Micromasters had one. Wheeljack, the new Dinobot Scar, because apparently that's a medic. Triage, the Protectobot Blades. Ambulon. Hot Rod because of him repairing Cup in the movie. And I love this one. Rescue. Though there's the Transformer Rescue that is a medic, and I think based on one of the like little penny racers, like a white version of that. There's of course the GotBot Rescue, and I think that's what the vote was for. And the very last one I want to mention that I thought was a very creative vote was right in the very beginning of Transformers, in the earliest parts of the episode. You had that Sky Spy that really went out and scanned all of the alt modes and repaired Autobot and Decepticon alike. Brought them all back to life so they could start the war all over again here on Earth. Good job, Sky Spy. That and more had votes. Let me know if your favorites made the list or not. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring. Or, of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. Please hit the subscribe button. Stick around. Have some fun with us here on the channel. And don't forget that somehow, some way, whether you feel it or not, whether you know it or not, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.